There was a time when I found myself constantly looking outward, measuring my worth by the standards of others. Every time I achieved something, it felt insignificant because someone else had done more. I was trapped in a cycle of comparison, endlessly scrolling through social media, silently competing with people who had no idea they were in a race with me. And it wasn't just about possessions or accomplishments. I compared everything: how I looked, how I spoke, even how I felt. But what I've come to realize, through the lens of Stoicism, is that comparison is a silent thief. It robs us of peace, of contentment, and of the ability to truly live our own lives. The Stoics believed that happiness is found within, and that the external world, the things we so often compare, are just distractions from what really matters. In this pursuit to stop comparing myself, I turned to ancient Stoic wisdom and found profound truths. These aren't just philosophical musings, they're practical, actionable steps that can help you shift your mindset and reclaim your inner peace. By learning to detach from the opinions of others, focusing on your own path, and recognizing your inherent worth, you can break free from the prison of comparison. Today, I want to share with you 10 Stoic secrets that can guide you in letting go of the urge to measure yourself against everyone else. These truths helped me see life with clarity and freed me from the constant battle of comparison. If you're tired of feeling like you're never enough, these principles will offer a way out. Secret 1. Understand that you control your judgment, not the circumstances. One of the most powerful realizations in Stoicism is this: the world outside of you is full of uncontrollable events, people, and situations. What you can control is how you interpret and react to them. This principle might seem simple, but it's revolutionary when you apply it to the habit of comparison. Most of us think that what other people do affects how we feel about ourselves, but the truth is, it's our judgment about those things that really matters. If you see someone with a more successful career, a bigger house, or a more exciting life, your immediate reaction is to compare. The problem is not in their success, but in the value you attach to it. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic philosophers, said, "Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed, and you haven't been." What he meant is that you get to decide what affects you. If someone else's achievements are making you feel inadequate, it's because you've judged that their success somehow diminishes your own worth. But why should that be? Their life has nothing to do with yours. You must train your mind to separate external events from your internal state. When you see something that makes you feel less than, pause and ask yourself, why does this affect me? Why am I giving this power over my emotions? The truth is, you don't have to let it. This is not just philosophical, it's practical. Imagine scrolling through social media and you come across a post about someone's new promotion or luxurious vacation. Instead of letting a wave of comparison wash over you, remind yourself that these external things are not inherently good or bad, they are neutral. What makes them feel significant is the judgment you assign to them. The next time you find yourself comparing, try this. Detach from the emotion and see the situation for what it is. Just an event, just another person's experience. What matters is not the success of others, but how you choose to interpret it. You can look at it with envy, or you can see it as just another piece of the external world that you don't control. Mastering this secret requires constant practice. Each time you notice the impulse to compare, use it as an opportunity to regain control over your own judgment. Slowly, you'll realize that you don't have to react emotionally to what others have or achieve. You can acknowledge their success without letting it define your own. In time, this shift in perspective will make you feel lighter, You'll no longer feel the burden of constantly measuring yourself against others because you'll understand that their achievements don't dictate your worth. You're the only one who can decide what matters in your life, and that decision begins with controlling your judgment. Secret 2. Focus on your own path, not someone else's. One of the greatest sources of inner conflict comes from trying to walk a path that isn't yours. In the age of social media and endless comparisons, it's easy to feel like everyone else is living a better life, reaching their goals faster and achieving more than you are. But the Stoics remind us that true fulfillment comes from focusing on our own path, not someone else's. Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." This Stoic wisdom teaches us that each person's journey is unique, and trying to follow someone else's will only lead to frustration and dissatisfaction. The truth is, you don't know what someone else has gone through to get to where they are. You see the highlight reel, not the behind-the-scenes struggles, and by comparing your journey to theirs, you're setting yourself up for unnecessary pain. Instead, focus on what you can control: your own progress, your own path. What are your values? What do you want out of life? When you get clear on this, it becomes easier to tune out the noise of what others are doing. Your path is yours alone, and no one else's achievements can take away from it. Imagine you're running a marathon. If you spend the entire race looking at the runners next to you, you'll lose focus, stumble, and maybe even fall. But if you keep your eyes on your own lane, you stay steady, maintain your rhythm, and eventually reach your goal. Life is the same. Every time you compare yourself to others, you're looking at their lane, not yours, and it throws you off course. The key is to develop tunnel vision when it comes to your journey. Every person you compare yourself to is walking a different path, with different challenges and different goals. Their success or failure has no bearing on your own. Instead of looking outward and wondering why they're ahead, look inward and ask yourself, am I doing what I need to do to move forward on my own path? This doesn't mean you should isolate yourself or ignore the world around you. It means shifting your focus inward, so your sense of accomplishment and happiness comes from within, not from how you measure up to others. When you focus on your own path, you'll find that the comparisons fade into the background. You'll stop caring about what others are doing because you'll be too busy achieving your own goals. Take time each day to reflect on your journey. What steps have you taken toward your goals? What lessons have you learned along the way? By doing this, you'll reinforce the idea that your progress is what matters, not someone else's. You'll start to feel more grounded, more centered, and more at peace with where you are. In a world that constantly pulls your attention toward others, choosing to focus on your own path is an act of defiance. It's a declaration that you won't be swayed by the noise around you, that you're committed to your own growth and happiness. And when you do this, you'll discover that true contentment comes not from comparing yourself to others, but from staying true to yourself. Secret 3. Practice the art of indifference. A key principle of Stoicism is learning the art of indifference. At first glance, this may sound strange. Why would indifference be a key to overcoming the habit of comparison? But when you understand what the Stoics meant by indifference, it becomes clear. The Stoic concept of indifference doesn't mean you stop caring about life. It means that you learn to stop caring about things that don't truly matter, things outside of your control, like other people's opinions, status, or achievements. These things don't affect your inner worth, and the sooner you learn to detach from them, the sooner you'll find peace. Epictetus taught, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." In the context of comparison, this means that it's not other people's success or failure that should concern you. It's how you respond to seeing their success or failure. If you can view these things with indifference, you'll free yourself from the emotional roller coaster of comparison. Imagine being indifferent to how others are progressing in their lives, not in a way that makes you cold or disconnected, but in a way that means you no longer let their achievements dictate how you feel about yourself. This doesn't mean you ignore people's success or become resentful. It means you learn to see these things as neutral events, neither good nor bad for your own life. The Stoics believed that the only things truly within your control are your thoughts, actions, and reactions. Everything else, what others do, say, or achieve, is beyond your reach. So why let it affect your peace of mind? Practicing indifference allows you to stay focused on what really matters, your personal growth and inner peace. To begin practicing indifference, start by paying attention to how often you let external events influence your mood. Do you feel envious when a colleague gets promoted? Do you feel inadequate when a friend buys a new house? These feelings are natural, but they're also rooted in the belief that these external events should impact your sense of self. The next time you notice these feelings arise, pause and remind yourself of what truly matters. Are these external achievements going to affect your inner character or values? Do they diminish the work you've done on yourself? The answer, of course, is no. Your value comes from within, and no amount of comparison can change that. With practice, you'll find that indifference becomes a powerful tool. You'll stop reacting to every success or failure around you and instead stay grounded in your own journey. The opinions, achievements, and lives of others will no longer shake your sense of self. You'll discover a new level of inner peace, one that can't be disturbed by the constant noise of comparison. Secret 4. Recognize that envy is a signpost, not a curse. Envy is one of the most corrosive emotions we can experience. It eats away at our peace, making us feel like we're never good enough. But in Stoic philosophy, envy isn't seen as something to be feared or avoided. Instead, it's viewed as a signpost, a signal that points to something deeper within us that needs attention. When you feel envy creeping in, it's easy to think that the problem is external. You see someone with a better job, a more fulfilling relationship, or a more exciting life, and you think, if only I had that, I'd be happy. But the Stoics challenge us to turn that thinking on its head. Instead of focusing on what the other person has, focus on why you feel envious in the first place. Epictetus said, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the view they take of them." This means that the source of your envy isn't the external success of others, it's how you're interpreting that success. Envy arises when you believe that someone else's achievements diminish your own worth. But this is a false belief. The truth is, envy is a signal that you're focusing on the wrong things. Instead of viewing envy as a curse, see it as an opportunity for self-reflection. When you feel envy, ask yourself, why does this bother me? What is it about this situation that makes me feel less than? Often, you'll find that envy arises from a sense of lack within yourself. Maybe you feel like you're not progressing as fast as others in your career, or maybe you feel like your relationships aren't as fulfilling. These feelings are natural, but they're also clues. They're pointing to areas of your life where you feel dissatisfied. Once you've identified the root of your envy, you can begin to work on it. Instead of focusing on what others have, turn your attention inward and ask, what can I do to improve my own situation? How can I grow in this area? Envy then becomes a catalyst for positive change, rather than a source of pain. The Stoics believed that we should view all emotions as tools for self-improvement. Even negative emotions like envy can teach us valuable lessons if we're willing to listen. When you start to see envy as a signpost, it loses its power over you. You no longer feel trapped by feelings of inadequacy because you understand that these feelings are simply pointing you toward areas of growth. By shifting your perspective in this way, you'll find that envy becomes less frequent and less intense. You'll start to focus more on your own growth and less on comparing yourself to others. And in doing so, you'll discover that the only person you need to compete with is yourself. Secret 5. Focus on your own virtue, not the success of others. In Stoicism, the central tenet is to cultivate your own virtue, to focus on your inner character and moral excellence. The Stoics taught that true happiness and fulfillment come not from external achievements or the approval of others, but from living in alignment with your core values and principles. When you find yourself comparing your life to others, it's usually because you're looking at their success, wealth, or status, things that are ultimately outside your control. The Stoics remind us that these external outcomes are irrelevant to our own inner peace. Instead, we must shift our focus from what others have accomplished to what we are doing to grow in virtue. Marcus Aurelius often meditated on this in his meditations. He would remind himself, "The only thing that is truly yours is your own mind. Everything else can be taken away." The wisdom of this truth is that no amount of material success or recognition from others can replace the integrity of a virtuous life. Even if the world seems to reward others more than you have to understand that those rewards are fleeting. What truly lasts is how you live, and that is where your real value comes from. When you start focusing on your own virtue, how you treat others, how you handle adversity, how you conduct yourself in everyday life, you begin to notice that comparing yourself to others becomes irrelevant. The success of others doesn't make you less virtuous, nor does their failure make you more virtuous. Your value is independent of these external measures. Moreover, Stoicism teaches us that we don't know the full story of anyone else's life. Someone might appear to be succeeding outwardly, but their internal state could be in turmoil. Conversely, someone who may seem to be struggling could be achieving a deep level of inner peace. This is why comparison is inherently flawed, because you're measuring yourself against something that isn't the whole truth. To implement this Stoic lesson, start by asking yourself every day, how can I live more virtuously today? It could mean practicing patience in the face of frustration, showing kindness to someone who annoys you, or simply staying calm in the midst of chaos. Each time you focus on your own growth rather than the external successes of others, you are reclaiming control over your own happiness. When you focus on virtue, you stop feeling like you're in a race with others. You stop measuring your worth by what someone else has achieved, because you realize that true success is about mastering your own mind and living in harmony with your values. This internal shift will not only help you break free from comparison, but it will also provide a deeper sense of fulfillment that no external achievement can replace. Secret 6. Realize that most people are chasing shadows. One of the most freeing insights from Stoicism is the understanding that much of what people chase in life is an illusion. The pursuit of fame, wealth, status, and approval often leads people to run after things that don't provide true happiness. They are chasing shadows, things that appear valuable but in reality are fleeting and ultimately unsatisfying. When you compare yourself to others, it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking they have something you need. You see their social media posts, their career milestones, their expensive vacations, and it all seems so perfect. But what you're seeing is only the surface. Beneath the facade, many people are struggling with the same insecurities, fears, and doubts as you. The truth is, most people are running after things that won't give them lasting peace. Seneca warned about this in his letters. No one confines his unhappiness to himself. All people make it overflow into their homes, their children, and their friends. The Stoics understood that external pursuits often lead to more anxiety and dissatisfaction, not less. When you compare yourself to others, You are often comparing yourself to someone who is trapped in their own cycle of dissatisfaction. Once you realize that most people are chasing illusions, the power of comparison weakens. You stop feeling envious of someone's lifestyle or success because you understand that their outward achievements do not necessarily reflect inner peace or fulfillment. Many people spend their whole lives climbing the ladder of success, only to find that it's leaning against the wrong wall. The key here is to focus on what really matters, things that cannot be taken away from you, like wisdom, virtue, and inner peace. These are the treasures that last, no matter what happens in the external world. When you invest your time and energy in cultivating these inner riches, you'll discover that the need to compare yourself to others disappears. You'll no longer feel the pull of wanting what they have, because you'll have something far more valuable: contentment with your own life. Understanding this Stoic truth can be incredibly liberating. It allows you to stop competing in the endless race for more money, more recognition, more status, and instead focus on building a life that's grounded in meaning and purpose. By letting go of the need to chase shadows, you free yourself from the endless cycle of comparison and step into a life of true contentment. This mindset shift doesn't happen overnight, but each time you catch yourself comparing, remind yourself, what I see is not the whole picture. By focusing on the things that truly matter and letting go of the illusion of external success, you'll begin to feel a sense of freedom and peace that others are still desperately searching for. Secret 7. Detach your happiness from external validation. One of the most powerful Stoic teachings is the idea that your happiness should never depend on external validation. The moment you attach your sense of worth to the approval or opinions of others, you become vulnerable to emotional pain. People's judgments are fleeting and often based on their own insecurities or biases. To place your happiness in their hands is to give away control over your own emotional state. The Stoics understood that the only approval that truly matters is your own, whether you are living in alignment with your values, fulfilling your potential, and being true to your principles. This self-reliance on inner validation is what sets the Stoic apart from others. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This applies just as much to the reactions of others as it does to life's events. If someone criticizes you, insults you, or refuses to acknowledge your worth, the Stoic response is not to internalize their opinion. Their view doesn't define you. What defines you is how you conduct yourself in the face of their opinion. Do you react with anger, frustration, or self-doubt? Or do you remain steadfast in the knowledge that their view is just an external event beyond your control? This doesn't mean you should never listen to feedback or ignore all criticism. The key is to separate constructive feedback from judgment that is rooted in malice, envy, or misunderstanding. A Stoic recognizes the difference between advice that helps them grow and criticism designed to wound or control. And even when faced with unjust criticism, the Stoic chooses to remain unaffected. The practical Stoic mindset says, "I don't need anyone to tell me I'm valuable. I don't need anyone's permission to feel worthy." This is easier said than done in a world obsessed with social comparison and validation through likes, followers, or external praise. But detaching your happiness from these external markers will set you free. The more you rely on others to feel good about yourself, the more you hand over your peace to forces outside your control. To practice this, start by recognizing every time you feel hurt by what someone says or doesn't say. Ask yourself, why does their opinion matter to me? More often than not, you'll discover it's because you've placed part of your identity in their hands. This is the moment to take it back, to remind yourself that your value comes from within, not from anyone else's approval. As you get better at this, you'll notice a powerful shift. You'll stop needing external validation to feel good about yourself. Instead, you'll derive confidence from knowing you are acting according to your principles and living in harmony with your values. This is where true freedom lies. Secret 8. Understand that everyone's journey is different. Stoicism teaches us to focus on our own path, our own growth, and our own progress. One of the biggest reasons we fall into the trap of comparison is because we forget that everyone's journey is different. We see someone else succeeding, and we immediately assume we should be where they are, forgetting that our circumstances, challenges, and timelines are unique. The Stoics understood that life is not a race against others. It's a personal journey of growth and learning. Comparing yourself to someone else's achievements is like comparing the growth of a tree to that of a mountain. It makes no sense. The tree grows in its own way, at its own pace, and so does the mountain. Both have value in their own right, but they follow entirely different processes. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "Do not disturb yourself by thinking of the whole of your life. Let not your thoughts at once embrace all the various troubles which you may expect to befall you, but in every event ask yourself, what is there in this which is intolerable and past bearing?" He knew that we often overwhelm ourselves by looking too far ahead or measuring ourselves against unrealistic expectations. The same principle applies when we compare ourselves to others. We're looking at the wrong markers. What we don't see in other people's lives are their hidden struggles, their internal battles, and the obstacles they had to overcome. We only see the surface, the success, the recognition, the achievements. But this is only part of the story. Each person's journey is filled with setbacks, failures, and moments of doubt. To compare your progress to theirs is to compare an incomplete picture. Furthermore, Stoicism teaches us to focus on what is in our control, and someone else's journey is completely outside of our control. You cannot control when or how someone else achieves success, but you can control how you respond to your own challenges and how you persevere through them. The moment you start focusing on your own growth rather than the perceived growth of others is the moment you free yourself from the burden of comparison. The Stoic lesson here is to trust your own process. Your journey is uniquely yours, and as long as you are making progress in accordance with your values and principles, you are on the right path. Remember that life is not about competing with others. It's about becoming the best version of yourself. Focus on what you can control, your own effort, your own mindset, and your own actions. This is the only measure of success that truly matters. Secret 9. Master the art of self-sufficiency. One of the most liberating truths in Stoicism is the importance of self-sufficiency, both emotionally and mentally. When you compare yourself to others, you unknowingly place your sense of happiness and fulfillment in external things, their successes, their talents, their achievements. But Stoicism teaches that true contentment comes from within, not from comparing yourself to the world around you. The Stoic pursuit of happiness is not tied to what others have or what they've achieved, but in cultivating an inner strength that makes external comparisons irrelevant. Seneca once said, "It is the power of the mind to be unconquerable." He understood that the only way to be free from the harmful effects of comparison is to build a fortress within your own mind, one that is so strong that no external event or person can disrupt your peace. This is the Stoic way of life, to cultivate an inner reservoir of calm that does not depend on how others are doing. Self-sufficiency isn't about isolation or cutting off from the world. It's about cultivating such a strong inner foundation that your value, worth, and happiness are no longer contingent upon others. When you focus on your own growth, your own principles, and your own progress, the need to compare yourself to others vanishes. You find joy in the small victories, in the daily practice of becoming better than you were yesterday. In a world where social media constantly bombards us with other people's highlights, mastering self-sufficiency is like developing a superpower. It means that no matter what others are achieving, no matter what they have or how far ahead they seem, your peace of mind remains unshaken because your value is self-generated. You don't need to measure your worth against someone else's journey, because your happiness comes from the mastery of your own inner world. Practically, this means focusing on the things you can control: your thoughts, your actions, your responses to life's challenges. It means turning your gaze inward instead of constantly looking outward for validation or affirmation. The more you nurture this self-reliance, the less the external world will dictate your sense of worth. This Stoic secret, when practiced daily, can transform the way you see yourself. You will no longer feel the pressure to keep up with anyone else because you will have found the ultimate source of strength within yourself. This is the true power of self-sufficiency. Secret 10. Reframe your mindset to focus on your own growth. One of the most transformative Stoic practices is learning to reframe your mindset. Instead of seeing life as a competition where your worth is measured against the success of others, Stoicism teaches us to shift the focus entirely to our own growth. This mindset change is not just philosophical, it's deeply practical, as it rewires how we experience life and the challenges it throws at us. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one." This quote captures the essence of this Stoic truth. Stop worrying about what others are doing and focus on what you can do to become the best version of yourself. Comparison drains your energy, while focusing on your own growth empowers you. When you're constantly comparing yourself to others, your mental energy is scattered, focused on things that are completely out of your control. You begin to measure your worth based on someone else's life, forgetting that your journey is different. This is where reframing comes in. Instead of thinking, "I'm behind," or "I should be where they are," shift your mindset to, "What can I learn from this moment to improve myself?" Or, "How can I grow from where I am today?" This slight change in perspective brings the focus back to your own progress, which is the only thing you truly have control over. The Stoic concept of amor fati, love of fate, can be particularly helpful here. It's the idea that you must embrace everything that happens, including your own perceived shortcomings, as necessary and valuable parts of your growth. Instead of wishing you had someone else's life, their successes, or their circumstances, you accept your own journey fully. You embrace your path and recognize that your unique challenges are what shape you into who you are meant to be. When you stop comparing and start embracing your own growth, you unlock a new level of contentment. You begin to see your own progress, no matter how small, as a victory. The world stops feeling like a competition, and instead, life becomes a personal journey of self-improvement and wisdom. This Stoic secret is not about denying the existence of others or pretending that other people's achievements don't exist. It's about focusing your energy where it belongs, on your own path, on your own growth, and on becoming the best version of yourself. When you internalize this, you free yourself from the anxiety of comparison and begin to experience life as a journey of self-discovery, where each step forward is a success, regardless of what others are doing. In the end, Stoicism teaches us that the only person we should strive to be better than is the person we were yesterday. By focusing on our own growth and reframing our mindset, we can stop comparing ourselves to others and find peace in the steady, meaningful progress of our own journey.